All right, good morning.
Good morning.
It's been an awesome week, another week of moving. You guys got to stop doing this stuff. Training. Montanos are finally in. Up on the second floor there, moving all that stuff. Had to take a door out, everything. Bronze is back. Once again, Bronze is back. This week has been awesome. We've had a number of parties. We had a party for Bronze. But then we had a party for Sebastian. You believe Sebastian is 1 year old? Unbelievable. And then Malik and Alexis are here. They brought a visitor today. Yeah. Malia, right? Is that right? Yeah. There it is, Malia. First service today of many. Very excited about that. Of course, how many infants we got? This is getting a little odd.
6 billion.
And then the Tillmans are going to have another infant. You know, I figure that people are going to start moving in to be a part, you know, of the church here because they want children. That's something in the water here. I don't know. Alan's here. Yeah. Maritza's little brother. Yeah, her little brother. But I remember those days Alan was talking about, you know. Amen.
Talk about it.
So a number of weeks ago, you guys heard, we went to Mexico City. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Got sick there. I was in bed for 2 days at the end there. Title of it was No Limits. And it was awesome. The women shared about it at midweek. The men are going to do the same.
Let's go.
But it was pretty awesome. You know, they're talking about limitless faith and love and humility, all that kind of stuff. And it's really kind of staggering when you think of anything being limitless.
Yeah.
And that's really our God.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
No boundary.
Yep.
Imagine that. Limitless money.
Whoa.
Come on.
Right?
That one.
Limitless your favorite meal.
Yeah.
Food.
Vamos.
Drink.
Oh, yeah.
Mountain Dew.
Come on.
Come on. A limitless amount of time.
Yeah.
Energy. I could use that. I could use that. Now it's hard for us to grasp these things, but that's where God lives. That's His world.
Wow.
And we have all these boundaries, right?
Oh,
We only live so long,
that's true.
right?
That's
We
right.
only can make so much money. You've got to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't stay up forever. It's only 24 hours in a day. You got to eat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm beginning to understand my limits.
No way.
You know, there's a lot of moves going on, and you know,
limits?
I'm getting older. So, you know, sorry everybody. But once we live in this world and we start to read the scriptures, we see God's perspective about eternity and how it's limitless. Look in Matthew 25.
Come on, bro.
And we're going to find today a lot of scriptures on this. The title of the lesson is No Limits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Creative. Matthew chapter 25 and verse 46.
Come on, bro.
Just one little sentence. Jesus talking. And he says that then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life.
Wow.
That's pretty heavy. It's a way to start a sermon.
Great way to start a sermon. He left.
I love it. Scare us,
You love it.
Yeah.
That's
Preach.
Max. Bad Max. But Jesus saying eternal. And it's hard for us to wrap our heads around the whole
Yeah, it's
idea of
pretty hard.
eternity. And all of it depends on what you do in this short time that you have here on earth. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11, you don't have to turn there. It simply says that God has a set eternity in the hearts of men.
Yeah.
We know that there's got to be more to life than the short time we're here. All right? There's got to be more than working 9 to 5 and paying bills.
Oh,
Right.
praise
Come
God.
You know, you get your check, and you just kind of go like that.
Yeah, give
You
it
know, that's your life.
That's gonna be my life. That is my life.
That's not what God planned for us. Not at all.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
But even throughout history, mankind has known that there's more to life than the here and now.
Yeah.
And they've made gods to worship, to son them, and they knew there's got to be something about this life
Yeah.
and the hereafter. And so God has put us in our hearts to dwell on these things. I remember when I was a kid, I had a best friend, and I remember getting into a deep conversation about this.
Yeah.
I was a teenager, you know. And I said, yeah, well, what do you think happens when you die?
Right.
And he said, when I die, I am dead.
Oh.
That is it.
That's depressing.
I don't remember. I don't think it's over. And I remember thinking, that's pretty bleak.
Yeah.
Super depressing.
And my mind started going, wow, you know, that'd be easy to commit suicide if that's how you thought.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But so many people think that way too, and it really brings a bleakness to life to think that this is it. This is all we got.
Yeah.
And God is saying, no, you have a purpose. There's a reality to everything. You weren't created to be a number.
Yeah.
You're created with an eternal purpose.
Come on, bro.
And so God is calling us to start thinking on this level, even with this one little sentence, that there is a lot more, and you got to think about your life and what it's all about here and now. There's not time to waste. All right, well, there's a number of things we're going to look at. Look in Mark chapter 12, verse 28.
Come on, Jay. Bro.
Mark chapter 12, and this is a famous passage. Verse 28. This is one of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, of all the commandments, which of these is most important? The most important one, answered Jesus, is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second is this. Love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than these.
Come on.
Point number one is loving him.
Come on, bro.
Come on.
He doesn't give room, any wiggle room for anything else.
No.
He says, I want you to love me with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength. That means everything. There's no limits to our love. And it's a command. In other words, there's no room for anything else. There's no limits in our relationship with him. That means we are to be consumed with God. That's what he wants. Now imagine you started dating someone and, you've been into it a few months, and then you sit down and you say, hey, I have a demand in our relationship. I want you to love me with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. No limits. All right, how's that going to work? I think you'd scare him away pretty quick.
Yeah.
Guys, don't try that. Doesn't work. But yet God says, hey, this is my expectation.
Come on.
Now you may be thinking, I've never done anything with all my heart. Anything. Except for maybe love myself.
Come on.
Okay? I remember when I was in high school, I bought my first car the day I turned 16.
Nice.
I love this car. It's a 68 Firebird.
Ooh.
Yeah. 650 Quadrajet.
Wow.
Carburetor. It was a straight 6 overhead cam. I love this car.
You still love this car.
And I poured my heart into it. I worked on it. I knew everything about it, tore the engine apart. Put a new transmission in it. Bought these really big wheels.
Oh, yeah.
jacked up the back end. It was cool.
Yeah.
I love this car.
Come on, bro.
But then I went to college and I was broke, so I sold it.
Oh no.
I know. It was painful.
My goodness.
But sometimes you just got to move on.
Amen.
And I remember the passion. I even took an auto body class to work on it. Fix that thing up. It was nice. But all things get destroyed. I was in a few accidents with it.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And so a lot of people pour a lot of time and energy into things like that.
Yeah. Come on.
We were in the state fair. Barb and I went on a date to the state fair.
Okay.
And there's a brand new Corvette. I got into it. I said, Barb, take a picture. You know? But people live their lives for that. And it's so very meaningless. You can be in an accident,
Yep.
boom, gone,
Right.
done.
Yeah.
And this is how people live. They treat God as a piece of the pie versus the center of the pie.
Yeah.
That he is to be a part of everything we are and everything that we do. God is saying no limits. Now, most people who claim Christianity don't do this.
Yeah.
God becomes just a part of their life when he's convenient. It's not acceptable to God.
That's true.
And he says it's not an option. This is a command. This is what I want you to do. The second thing he does, where he says no limits, is to seek him. Psalm 119, you guys know it,
Come on, bro.
Come on.
but we will read it, just in case you forgot.
Let's go, bro. Help us.
Remind
Psalm
us,
119, verse 1. It says, "Blessed are they whose ways are blameless, who walk according to the law of the Lord. Blessed are they who keep his statutes and seek him with what?
bro. All their hearts.
All their hearts." He's saying it's all. Everything is all. It's not, there's no limits to this. And God says, listen, I will bless you.
Come on.
And a lot of people begin that way, and God knows everybody's seeking something in life. They're seeking freedom or joy or a relationship, money, power, whatever. And God says, I am the source to all those things. I can meet your every need if you seek me with all your heart.
Yep.
And you're only 90% in, it's not going to work.
Come on.
Come on.
It's like marriage. You get married to say, yeah, I'm 90% committed. I do for 90%. Not going to work. Not going to work. In Amos 5, verse 4, you don't have to turn there. It just simply says, seek me and live.
Wow. That's awesome.
Same chapter, verse 6, seek the Lord and live. God's saying, I'm the source of life. God's saying, I am limitless. I am awesome. Look to me. I want to help you.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 29, you guys know it.
Yep.
You know, God says, hey, I've got great plans for you, your life, not to harm you,
Yeah.
but to give you hope in the future. But there's a glitch.
Well.
You got to seek me with all your heart. And once again, God's expectations
Come on.
are all or nothing.
Wow.
Look in Hebrews chapter 11.
Come on, Jerry.
Come on, bro.
Now, a lot of us, we, do what we got to do. We get baptized, we're saved, and all that stuff. But then we quit seeking God
Talk about
and
it,
wonder
bro.
why we struggle. Because we start to have another God.
Come on,
Right.
Jerry.
And you can fill in the blank whatever that will be, but that becomes your God, and God becomes secondary, and no longer do you receive the benefits of knowing God. In Hebrews 11, starting in verse 6, it says, "And without faith it's impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who" what? Earnestly seek him.
Come on.
There's a genuine side of it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, God, I'm going to seek you for what I can get out of you. No, it's about the relationship. There's just seeking people communicates that they have value. They want to know them. And that's how God is. He's like, listen, I'm all in with you. I died on the cross for you.
Wow.
How about you? What's this relationship going to look like?
Yeah, come on.
In Matthew 7, you guys know it. Ask,
There you go.
it'll be given to you. Seek, you'll find. Knock, the door will be open. Those are all action things.
Right.
Things you do. It's on us. God's like, hey, I proved myself. I'm in it.
Yep.
And there's got to be an aggressive spirit in our relationship with God. That's what he's expecting. Point number 3 is committing to him. Oh, it's okay if you're half-hearted.
No.
Is that right? He expects total commitment. There's a lot of passages where Jesus says you must do things.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't write it. He's the head of Christianity, right? There's all these must passages.
Yeah.
Look in Luke chapter 9.
Come on, bro.
There you go.
Come on, bro.
Bringing you back to the basics.
There we go.
Bring it. Bro, I need this.
It's a basic relationship with God.
Yeah, come on.
Luke chapter 9, verse 23. Then he said to them all, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me.
Come on, bro.
Whoever wants to save his life will lose it.
Yeah.
But whoever loses life for me will save it. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit his very self? You know, the whole idea is this is a salvation issue. God knows it. Jesus is saying this is the expectation. You must deny yourself. You must take up your cross. You must
That's right.
follow me. Once again, I didn't write this. It's right there. You can read it 100 times. It's going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
That is Jesus' expectation. Is there anything else? Oh, well, I'm glad you asked.
Come on.
Luke 14, verse 33, Jesus talking once again. Verse 26, he says, if anyone comes to me, and he's turning the whole crowd. He says, this is for everybody, anyone.
Yep.
And he ends in verse 33, in the same way, any of you who does not give up everything he has cannot
Yep.
be my disciple. Well, what's everything? Yeah, everything.
Come on, bro.
Point number 4,
Come on, bro.
total trust in him. You look in John 14, verse 1. Jesus simply says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. You know, without trust, you don't have a relationship.
That's true.
If you're talking to somebody and they say, I don't trust you,
Well,
are you going to feel real close to that person? Wow, that makes me feel all warm inside. You know, let's hug now.
yeah.
No. And all these things that we've looked at, seeking, you know, love, all that, it's all about trust.
Yep.
You don't do these things unless you trust someone.
Yeah.
And Jesus spent his life trying to get people to trust in him.
Yeah.
The question is, how much do you trust? Is it half-hearted? Well, if you trust him completely, then you do radical things.
Come on.
Look in John 10.
Come on,
Come on,
Dave.
bro.
John chapter 10, verse 1. I tell you the truth, the man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters by the gate is a shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls out his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. but they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus said, used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he's telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, I tell you the truth, I am the gate for the sheep.
Wow.
All who ever came before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be, what? Saved. He will come in and go out, find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy.
Wow.
I have come that they may have life and have it to the full.
Come on.
I'm the good shepherd. Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. You know, Jesus, this is all about faith. And he begins by talking about, you know, he says, hey, I tell you the truth. This is truth. And he says the sheep will follow because they know their voice. There's a relationship there. And they follow because they trust that the shepherd is out for their best interests. They know the shepherd. I know that they care about me. I'm willing to follow their lead. But he says, you know, you got the hired hand. He's not in it 100%.
Yeah.
And they don't trust him. And it comes down to where Jesus' heart is versus man's heart.
Yeah.
And we understand it's an issue of trust because it says they won't follow because they don't know their voice.
Come
Yeah.
on.
And the question is, do you know Jesus' voice when he calls?
Come on, bro.
Come on, bro.
Or do you say no? Because you trust your own insights more than God's. And you trust the world more than God.
Come on, bro.
This is amazing to me how many people, well, no, this is what everybody's doing, that's what I'm going to do.
Wow.
Yeah, but look what's going on with them. They're a mess.
Come on.
And it says that the shepherd has come that they may have life and have it to the full. That's
Yeah.
his goal. He wants us to do awesome.
Yep.
Imagine someone in your life says, my only goal is to give you life in the full, to the full.
Come on,
And that's Jesus. And Jesus says, listen, I lay down my life. What more can I do
Yeah.
to get you to trust me? I'm in this. 1,000%. No limits. And yet we don't trust God. And we show it by our actions because we don't follow him. And selfishness destroys relationships. And God gets beat up as a result. You know, I got together with Q this week.
Yeah, go keep
I want to hold him up. You know, I was incredibly impressed with our talk.
Oh, come on.
You know, Marcus and Heather, they left, and sometimes transition can be hard on people and all that. And I thought, I'm going to get with Q, see how he's holding up. And I was like, this dude is doing awesome.
Come on.
And he has his head in the game.
Come on, Q.
And he's saying, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. And I'm thinking, you know, this guy has had a huge impact in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Is he perfect?
No.
Great guy, though. Not perfect, none of us are. But he wants to do what's right.
Yeah.
And even if his family can see all sorts of things, he's still leading them.
Come on.
And they're following. And that's really a key. Do people trust you? How much like Jesus are you? Do they believe you're looking for something or you're in it for them because you love them? And that's a very challenging thing because we can be very selfish people.
Yeah.
And you can sacrifice and suffer for people and they can turn on you. That's their decision. But you got to have a clear conscience with all of that. What would Jesus do? And Jesus shows us the example here. Look in Matthew 14.
Come on,
Come
bro.
on, bro.
Come on, bro.
There's another element to this trust thing we got to talk about.
Go, bro. Talk about
Look
it,
in verse
bro.
22.
Preach, bro.
I'm just getting started.
All right.
Amen.
Here.
Matthew 14, verse 22. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get in the boat, going ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. During the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake.
Come on.
It's awesome. The disciples saw him walking the lake. They were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Peter got down out in this when it comes to trust. The guys are in the boat and it's scary. Wind and waves, and they're having a tough time of it. You see a guy walking on water. These burly guys screaming, scared. Probably made fun of each other the next day. Peter gets fired up. "Hey, if it's really you, tell me to come out."
Come on.
I can see Jesus going, "That's awesome.
Yeah.
Come on."
Yeah.
And he's fired up for Peter. Peter jumps out of the boat. He's walking along, and it's like, "It's happening, man." And then he starts looking around, and he starts to sink.
Yeah.
Freaks out, cries out. Jesus helps him. Dude, why did you doubt?
Yeah.
And you can understand that this is what happens to us. We're fired up. We want to do miracles. And Jesus wants to do miracles through us. And we start walking, and then we start sinking because we get distracted by the world and the way the world thinks. And Jesus is saying there's no limits here.
Yeah.
Trust me, and miracles will happen. And imagine that he started getting further from the boat, his security, thinking, "Uh-oh, I can't just, that kind of thing." And it'd been different. Peter's like, "I'm good. I'm going to stay right here. I'm on the water. Let's stop right here." And a lot of times, that's what we want to do. "All right, God, I'm this far. Hey, I've done more than I've ever expected. I'm going to stop." And that's what we do in our relationship with God. And Jesus is saying, no, you got to get away from the boat, dude.
Come on.
And sometimes we won't even get out of the boat
Yeah. Come on.
because we don't trust Jesus.
Wow.
Come on, bro.
We say we trust Jesus, but there's things we're unwilling to do. That's not trust. Well, I got to have this job. I got to have this relationship. And you cling to it more than you do God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Even though God made you,
Yeah.
we cling to things of the world.
Yeah.
And the boat represents security. We got to get away from security of the world, of people. We got to get our security from God. That's what trust is all about.
Yeah.
We are not in control, and the world is an ugly place to stay. It's time to let go. It's time to walk on water and do miracles. And God wants to do miracles in our lives because we limit ourselves. Imagine all the miracles you could have done, but you didn't because you stopped God. Imagine on Judgment Day, God saying, "This is what you could have been. This is what you could have done, but you didn't because you didn't trust me." That's pretty intense. Look at Mark 9.
Come on, bro.
Great day. Come on,
Mark
bro.
9, verse 17. A man in the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought you my son who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of his speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. Okay, that's a problem right there.
Oh yeah.
I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not.
Wow.
Oh, unbelieving generation. Jesus replied, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me. Who's Jesus ticked off at? The disciples. He expected miracles out of these guys. Imagine that D-time. How long am I going to put up with you? Wow.
Come on, bro.
So they brought him, and when the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, how long has he been like this? From childhood, he answered. It has often thrown him into the fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. If you can, Jesus said, everything is possible for him who believes. You know, Jesus even expected the Father to have faith.
Yeah.
If you can. And see, this is what we do with God.
Wow.
We say, God, if you can do anything, please help me here.
Wow.
God's like, wow, what kind of a prayer is that? You don't trust me?
Yeah.
And he goes on, he says, take pity on us. And a lot of times that's what we want. We just want pity.
Yeah.
Feel bad for me. I got it rough. I got it hard. Versus taking the opportunity and making it awesome and amazing, miraculous.
Come on.
What could have been is stopped because of our lack of faith. Let's look at another example of this in Matthew 17. Same situation, but it says something a little different. Matthew 17:19.
Come on, bro.
Then the disciples came to Jesus in private and said, why couldn't we drive it out? He replied, because you have so little faith. I tell you the truth, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you.
Come on.
And it comes down to our faith. We limit the miracles because of our lack of faith.
Wow.
He says, just the size of a mustard seed, what you could do. And we allow ourselves to live under limits. Versus Jesus saying, no, let's push past those limits. Let's do amazing things. And Jesus came into our world to show us that it could happen. He was born like us, raised, teenager, the whole bit. And he's like, it can be done. Don't give yourself an out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we stop God. You know, there's plenty of miracles that have happened in the church here.
Yeah, come on.
You know, Barb and I have been doing this for 40-some years. And we've seen some pretty miraculous things. But this church is special. We've done things that people just talk about. When we were in Mexico, they're like, how you guys doing that? How is that possible? Taking this little church, sending out leadership all over the place, and now it's a pillar church to Russia? How does that happen? How does that happen? And John Causey said it's because we trust in you. That's what faith is all about.
Come on.
And it's taking this group who is doing miracles. And here's the weird thing. You guys are in it, and you probably don't know any better. All right? I'll tell you, and Alan can tell you,
Come on.
right? And any of you who've come in from other churches, you know what I'm talking about. And so we need to grab a hold of the opportunity. One of the most amazing conversion stories was my study with Dante.
Yeah.
You know, rarely do you see someone change right before your very eyes.
Yeah.
His confidence, everything about him just transformed. He became the shy guy to this, you know, you heard him share his communion message. I was like, oh my gosh.
Come on.
That doesn't happen without the relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when Elisha first came into the church,
Come on.
he was a hard one to bring down.
Oh boy.
He was a tough one to bring down, guys. And we just had to keep loving him. And he's had a great impact. He's always smiling now and fired up and shares his faith. Mexico City brought a visitor to church. You know, but it's cool to watch the transformation, not just in the beginning, but people constantly changing. For those people who are willing to, who trust God. A lot of people come in that they're not willing to do it. Well, you're stopping you. You could have this if you just trust.
Wow.
But the tendency is we tend to trust ourselves. You know, I think about Grace and Shandal. Grace reached out to Amber, right? Amber brought her friend Izzy here today, down in Chicago. But, you know, online, seeing your name, boom, it happens. God directs. You know, he chooses the times and places. And there's story after story, just like that. Luani, how she came in.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hand. You see God working. That's just not coincidental.
Yeah.
Exciting to see all the great things. I think about Darnell and her parents coming around. You guys know Darnell saved my life, right? We were on our way. It's 5 years we've been here, guys. 5 years. And we were driving out of New York, and I was driving the moving truck. It's about a 20-foot truck, and of course, New York, there's only certain places you can drive.
Yeah.
Because they have those bridges that are like this, and you'll wipe out the top of your truck, right? And I'm going on this on-ramp, and I see the sign, no trucks.
Oh.
Now, I didn't know Darnell. Behind her, and she took control.
She did.
Everybody moved back. Saved my life. I was like, I'm glad this woman's on the team. But what was the miracle this year that could have happened that didn't? You stopped God.
Wow.
What are the miracles that will happen in the next year? Because you say yes. No limits. Here am I. Send me. I'll do it. What limits do you put on God? Not just on yourself, but on God. What have you said no to? You know, Vince Lombardi said, if you can't get enough, get emotional about what you believe in your heart, then you're in the wrong business. Is your heart in this?
Come on.
Jesus is saying, listen, this isn't a game. This isn't a social group. This is the real deal.
Come on.
Are you with me? Working with these people in Tbilisi, and you see what persecution is all about. For those of you who go to Tbilisi, I want you to sit down and talk to Ashkan.
Yeah.
Came out of Iran, persecuted his mom. They had to get her out. She's afraid her family was going to kill her. There's a reality here.
Yeah.
And we're kind of, you know, in this cush lifestyle. We don't realize it. But hopefully you've taken this lesson to heart that God expects no limits
Come on, bro.
in our love, our trust, and our willingness to sacrifice as he did. I'm going to close with a challenge. I want you to pray for a miracle. Don't fight God. Pray for a miracle. Milwaukee needs to experience what miracles are all about. Milwaukee needs to experience no limits, and so does the world. So let's change the world around us by showing
our world, who our God is through our lives. Amen?